So I know it's the end of the day. So I'll try to get it to the main thing you want to know, which is what keeps me awake. Um, in my different hats, USF, Center Excellence, USF, Pattern Center for the Study of Family Violence, or work, or anything I do, those are just hats. But at the end of the day, I take off that hat, and that's the real me, which is Abraham Salinas and his children, and my wife, and my family, um, extended family as well. So this is the story about a, I would say, a story of resilience and hope that has not finished. It's just starting. And I'm honored to share it today with you. First of all, I'd like to acknowledge the sources of strength before I start this presentation, because that's going to give me strength to be truthful to myself and to be honest with all of you, and be authentic in what I'm saying. My wife on the left, Reina, and she's carrying little Gloria when she was born. I mean, not born there. She was like 8 months or so there. But then in the middle, you see that's our family on the weekends. My four boys and Gloria. That was a picture that was taken a while back. I don't have a most recent one because, believe it or not, it's so difficult to get the picture of all of them together in one place, sitting still. At least one of them will move and will run away and or do some like photobomb. So, but we're working on that, and it's okay. And then my parents, the picture on the bottom, the little hamster over there, it reminds me that we love nature, we love outdoors, we love animals, dogs, cats, and we like to spend our time connected to nature. And we used to have a hamster called Stuart. Um, First of all, this topic is about fathers, but also fathers who are co-parents, but also fathers who are co-parents who are fathers of children with special healthcare needs. And so it is kind of a three-level intersection of identities right there. And this is in the context that in the United States, for most part, everything that has been said about programs, services, or everything that we know that may work well is being based on studies that look solely to mothers. So mostly maternal involvement. Even if you talk about parent trainings that are evidence-based, and most of the evidence comes from studies that mostly represent mothers. So there is a big gap in father involvement, and even a bigger gap when you talk about fathers who are non-residential, meaning they don't live with their children, and those who are co-parents, and even a bigger gap when you look at it at children with special healthcare needs, co-parents and fathers involvement. Um, Now, what is co-parent? Basically, these are two parents that have a parenting agreement to follow, but they're not in a relationship. Um, so they're divorced, they're separated, they were never married, or they may be cohabiting or not. But the point is that their legal arrangement make them co-parents. So basically, and the father may have some degrees of visitation rights, or maybe it's a full custody, shared custody, depends. But these are co-parents, and it is one of the most common arrangements nowadays in families as well. Um, After nuclear families, many people are co-parent. I'm sure some of you may be co-parents as well. Uh, the truth is, parenting is a difficult thing. There's no training that will prepare you to be a parent. And if you know one, please let me know, because I've taken like at least 4 different trainings in parenting trainings, and I can tell you there's no way to avoid conflict. But the good news is there is a way to address conflict and to manage conflict. So co-parenting conflict, it's there. And children who live in those environments, they have negative consequences in their social emotional development. They might more likely to become depressed, anxious, or feel abandoned. And that may have an impact in their relationships in the future. So parents who have an unhealthy relationship as co-parents in the role as parents for their children, it also may experience mental health consequences themselves too, like more likely to be depressed, more likely to suffer parenting stress, more likely to have anger issues, more likely to be violent, more likely to commit suicide, more likely to use substances. It is a series of things. It is a traumatic experience when you don't have a healthy co-parenting relationship. So what keeps me awake at night? And I have to say that this is a story of growth that is still going, but I'm happy to be here today. And I would not volunteer for this. It was that in the conversation with Angela and the other folks, the topic of father involvement was present in one of the conversations. And then I shared my experience and they asked me to do this. The thing is, I got a divorce in 2000. I would say I would separate in 2016, but then the divorce officially was until 2017. Today it's 2021, and I'm working on it. We're working on it, and this is a story of growth. So, but these are the things that used to keep me away more before than now, but they still are with me. But I have something that I need to tell you about this. Things such as, am I a good dad? Uh, did I do the right choice? Will my children grow up happy adults, even if I'm not there physically? I want to be there for them, but life right now, I would say, these are in the words that I would hear it in my mind. Life destroyed my family. But hold on right there. The story doesn't end with that thought. And just bear with me that some of these thoughts may sound a little bit like a super fatalistic, but there is hope behind those thoughts as well. So what's going to happen to my son? My son Daniel, this is Daniel here, is the one in right here with the ninja, sorry, the dinosaur pajamas right here at the bottom. That's Daniel, my dear Daniel, my beloved Daniel. He has autism and ADHD. And Mikey, the oldest, has a gifted in school. And the others so far appear to be typically developing according to the pediatricians. So that's a family, but at the end of the day, it's my son. They're all my children, and I all love them. But these things worry me. So how will my child be treated by others, particularly when it goes back to school? They're still homeschooling for COVID-19. That's a decision we took. How do I protect my children if I'm not there? You know, at night I'm thinking that I'm laying in my bed and my children are in another house. What if someone breaks into the house? I won't be there to protect my children. So those are the things that as a father keeps me awake. How do I keep going? How do I let go of anger, frustration, and resentment? Everything that happened in the relationships that result in divorce always leave a mark. Even if you're at fault or not at fault, or is a mutual thing, in cases of domestic violence, even if there's mutual agreement, there are frustrations and resentments that keeps people at night awake. Or you can say this, I can do this. I didn't have good role models. My dad was never there for me. So how can I do this even now that I'm separated from my children? Talking about co-parenting. I'm missing my children's lives. So the fact that I'm not there, and if you're there, you may still be saying that you live in the same home and you're not co-parent, but you may ask these questions yourself because maybe you work too much. Maybe you don't have time, or at least you think you don't have time to be in their lives more often. Am I an absent parent? So these are the things that happen to me. So I like to ask in the chat if just type anything that comes to mind, that the things that worries you the most at night about your children. In one or two words. Let's take a minute. And while you do that, I'll present this slide, which is effects of stress on people. But I want to know what makes you awake at night and stressed. And I know there are not many parents here. I mean, your fathers, sorry, they're all of you are parents, most of you, but not many fathers in the group. So I'm going to ask it in a general sense. Yeah. Okay. So I see some answers coming. When I'm gone, will she always need to live at home? Are they safe? Will she make sound decisions, acceptance, their happiness, worry about my son having seizures, makes me anxious. Would my son's life be like something happened to me? To be safe when driving and all of that. Thank you for sharing that. I'll give you one or two more who wants to share it. All those things, you know what, also happen to that. Also happen to that. There is a myth that there is a strong need to have fathers and mothers differentiated strategies because gender differences and all that. That is all true, you know. But guess what? Fathers also worried about all that. And they also worry about the specific things related to the roles as well. Is it fair for other children or for my children? Will they look back on their childhood as a positive experience? Oh, tell me about that one. I study adverse childhood experiences from the time before my children were born. And the fact that they went through a divorce and separation, that it kind of really took a toll on my mental health because I was thinking they're going through an adverse childhood experience now. And I've been working all my life to avoid that, yet I couldn't help it. So these are the things that I would experience: sleepiness, insomnia, 2, 3 a.m., 4 a.m. in the morning, not be able to sleep, or feeling helpless, anger, depression, feeling down, suicidality, anxiety. This is my list of things that I have experienced for myself. Yet I continue working through those times. But the good thing is I wasn't alone. I had people there with me who helped me. And that's when I learned something that changed my life, literally changed my life, because it helps me heal from trauma. It's the real cause of stress. I always thought about stress as something that the body responded to an adverse event that caused us to secrete hormones, and over time will be stress. But then I learned the real cause of stress. It was really how my brain took it, the perceived threat response. So I would perceive that thoughts that will tell me there is a harm or possible harm to me or to my children or to my loved ones, other loved ones, and that will be a perceived threat response. And that is what's called fight, flight, or freeze response. Um, so I'm checking on the time as well. Um, so the real cause of my stress was perceived threat response. And then I would have all those effects. So that kept me awake at night, and I knew the effects. How did I get out of it? I'm still working on it. And I learned about something that taught me that, you know, if this perceived threat response is what's causing my stress and making my life miserable, I need to do something about that so I can be a better dad. And then I started practicing as a lot of things in with my wife, with friends, with other people, with the therapist, with my mom, with my dad, everyone who could teach me something to do better, or getting tips from all over the place, I would take, because I want and I still want to be better dad. So if I would just have a thought, am I a good dad? Then I learned to dispel that. Okay, is it true? Is it true that I'm a bad dad in every single thing? Or is there any evidence that I can be good at being good? Or is what happened the last word or the ultimate thing? Is it completely total failure? No, it's not. So I started to dispel that with other thoughts. I can be better each day, one day at a time. Will my children grow up happy as happy adults? Quality over quantity. My wife told me that. Quality over quantity. And I knew that, but it's until someone meaningful and closer to you tells you it, that resonates in you. What's going to happen to my son when I'm not around anymore? Well, I have supports. I can plan. I have a network. I can unite forces, and I can do my best that whatever happens, it's going to be under best consequences, even if there is some suboptimal the element there. I still do my best and keep trying. I won't give up. Anger management, personal growth, trauma healing. That was the most important thing, because I could not change the way I was thinking and I'm going through life without starting to heal. Um, so that trauma healing took me to learn more about trauma, seek help, and went through trauma therapy, taught me to prepare, be intentional. So instead of having those triggers that will come to my mind and I perceived them as threat, I would be prepared and intentional to receive those triggers. So when those triggers will come, I remember, for example, when I would meet my ex-mother-in-law, that would give me a high adrenaline rush. So I would prepare before I go there and tell to myself, we all want the best for the children. And that immediately calmed down. So I would prepare. Routines, family routines are important, and that works for all parents, not just father who are co-parenting. Ask for tips, and I keep asking for tips. And this is a collection of tips that I've been getting from over the years to help to cope, because conflict is going to be there. But most important is to have coping skills. And the final thing that I learned is that stress is not a perceived threat response. Stress is a perceived threat response in the absence of coping skills. So because the people who were telling me this, they have those conflicts, they have those threats, but they didn't get this stress as I was. So they were able to cope with it. So stress is not the causes of stress that we think. And it's not even the perception of threat. It is actually the lack of coping mechanisms. And by coping mechanisms, I would think like these are some of them. New skills: develop effective communication skills. That is, really tell your needs behind the feelings, not what you want or your desire to get revenge or to get what you want, but the actual emotional needs behind those feelings. Be responsible for your own communication. Don't try to avoid responsibility on that end. If you mess it up, then say, I messed it up. Um, Go beyond the breakup with your ex. And that's an important thing. There's nothing we can do to go back in the time. And there's nothing we can do to get an additional second in our lives. Therefore, it's very important that we use the time we have right now in the best way possible. Now, be a role model and find other role models as well. Consistent schedule is not as easy as it sounds, and it's not at all, but I'm getting there, and hopefully my own children are helping as well. Sometimes you have to disagree, but do not disagree in front of your children or engage in domestic violence or abusive responses in front of the children, because it's as harmful as hitting them directly. Now, keep your cool. I remind myself about this all the time. And as I said, conflict is unavoidable, but what we can do about it, it's in our control. Um, so all these things result in optimal child development, reduce child abuse and neglect, strengthen families. You know all this. So all I wanted to say today here, it is one simple message. What keeps you awake at night, you know, you gotta, first you gotta speak about it. You gotta write about it. You gotta tell about it. And then think about how you think about this and find ways to cope with it. Because they're gonna happen to you every night. And over time, you'll start seeing the light at the end of the tunnel. Um, when parents do their best as co-parents, then children do better. You'll have all these slides as handouts as well. Uh, so co-parenting can enhance father positive involvement with children, and we can talk more about it. This is just like a teaser presentation. And all those tools that I show you at that table come from positive behavioral support and cognitive behavioral approaches for co-parenting, for those who are interested more in the approach behind this. So these are ongoing challenges, and I'm about to finish now. Fathers need support too, yet they may not even know how to seek or find help. So if you know a father, offer your lending hand, uh, and you may also get a lending hand as well. There are institutional and personal factors that keep fathers uninvolved. For example, no one is actually inviting fathers to get involved in anything. For most part, we invite the parents who are available. But now technology allows us to do more family. So with this in mind, I just want to finish saying, listen to father voices as well as mother voices. And if possible, listen to residential and non-residential, biological and step parents, as well as extended family. They are meaningful. So thank you for your attention. And I think that's was as fast as I could do this.
Abraham, I really appreciate you doing this, and I do understand that it was a very quick presentation, and as you were, this is the second time I've heard it in this condensed mode, and I really wanted to know more, and I could keep you on the phone or on the Zoom here for a long time. Really quickly, I do know that we have a couple of dads still on Zoom with us, and I don't want to put you on the spot, but I'm going to kind of give you 30 seconds to come off mute if there's anything that you would like to add, that maybe there's something that keeps you. Craig, do you want to say something, Craig? Great to have you here.
Yeah. My name is Craig Trinidad, and I'm one of the new family leaders of the PPC and UCSF in San Francisco. And one thing I wanted to add on to Dr. Salinas is I think the dad's role is changing nowadays. In my family situation, I'm the primary caregiver. I'm the one who's home 100% of the time. So yeah, it is. It is. There is a little bit of a lack of paternal support. But again, like people have said on the chat, that fathers are definitely welcome to the table. And I think, part of it is a generational thing where it's not macho to ask for help. And I think, like I said, it's changing because more dads are staying home. More moms are working, and there is more of a role that fathers are playing, whether they are co-parenting or they are in the nuclear household. So I just wanted to put that there. Dr. Salinas, thank you again. I was reading over that and I said, yeah, that's me. Yeah, that's me. Yeah, that's me. But again, thank you. And I look forward to networking with a lot of people, with all this. Thank you.
Thanks for that, Craig. And I can tell you that Craig is a new family leader who has just started in his role in the last over the last few months, and it's been great getting to know him, and we're looking forward to supporting him. Does anybody else have any
Yes, I have.
Yes, Nancy.
I have a question.
Go.
Hi,
yeah,
thank
okay.
you. Great presentation and conversation that allow us to understand also the father perspective, right? We're always talking about the family perspective, and we kind of forget the father perspective. My specific question is, do you think there are specific father involvement strategies that we should be aware of, that something different that we usually do to involve mothers?
Absolutely. One of the things that we know about males is, in general, right, and things are changing, is that sometimes you need other fathers or other males to teach you or at least to tell you their perspective, so you feel validated. In the same way, we always hear someone who is telling about a similar situation to us, so we empathetically connect with that person. So by involving some advocates that are males and having a specific father involvement or male involvement programs, that may break those taboos about male seeking social support. And there's the other thing. Because of the gender issues that have been transmitted in patriarchal societies, men are less likely to cry in front of women, but they would cry in front of other men, which is very interesting. It's a phenomenon that I had seen, and I had taught parents as well, parent training programs, and crying is such a healthy thing. But until you hear from another macho man, at least the families that I work with that are Latinos, and it's very difficult for them. So it requires some cultural and linguistic adaptations as well. But at the same time, it also helps when they are involved with mothers as well. So that opportunity of sharing the perspective, and it constructs communication, it builds communication skills.